Imagine the world 4,500 years ago. In Egypt, the Great Pyramid of Giza is a fresh, gleaming white monument in the sun. In Mesopotamia, cities are rising. But at the top of the globe, a few small families, perhaps no more than 500 people in total, were doing something far more radical. They were walking into the most desolate place on Earth. They lived above 82 degrees north, farther north than almost any human group has ever called home. No maps. No metal. Just bone, stone, and the terrifying silence of the high Arctic. Today, we call these people the Independence culture. It's a dry name given by archaeologists, taken from the Independence Fjord in Peary Land. But to them, there was no Greenland. There was only the Nunasiak, the beautiful land, a place where the earth met the sky in a horizon of white. This history was buried for 4,000 years until Ingenious, a Danish explorer with the soul of an artist, trekked across the frozen desert in the 1940s. He didn't find cities, he found tiny, razor-thin flakes of flint and strange, rectangular stone rings. These were mid-passage hearths. This wasn't just a campfire, it was a masterpiece of survival engineering. A central stone-lined corridor divided their tiny skin tents in two, living space on one side, sleeping on the other, with a fire in the middle. These hearths were the only things standing between a family and a frozen eternity. How did they get there? They didn't have boats. Around 2500 BCE, a warming period opened what scientists call the Green Corridor. The Nares Strait, the narrow, violent water between Canada and Greenland, froze into a permanent ice bridge. They followed the Umamak, the musk ox. In the Greenlandic tongue, Umamak means the animal with hair like a beard. To the Independence people, the musk ox was a godsend. It was a walking supermarket. Its shaggy, kiviot wool is 8 times warmer than sheep's wool. Its fat kept their fires lit. Its horns became bows. Without the Umamak, there would be no humans in Greenland. Don't let that Stone Age label fool you. Their technology was incredible. They used microblades, tiny, translucent shards of chert and flint. Think of them as the Swiss Army knife of 2500 BCE. These blades were so sharp they could perform surgery or skin a frozen seal in minutes. But the most vital tool wasn't a weapon, it was the bone needle. A woman's ability to sew a waterproof, airtight parka from seal skin was the literal boundary between life and death. If a seam leaked, you got wet. If you got wet, you froze. If you froze, the clan lost a mother, a hunter, or a child. Cooperation wasn't a choice, it was the law. Now, imagine the psychological toll. For a global audience, the midnight sun sounds poetic, until you realize it means 24-hour daylight that prevents sleep and causes a manic, restless energy. But the winter. The polar night is 4 months of total, soul-crushing blackness. In that dark, they faced pibloktok, or Arctic hysteria. People would sometimes snap, screaming or running naked into the snow, overwhelmed by the isolation. To explain this, they told stories of the Kivitok, the wanderer. In their myths, a person who broke the rules of the group or was shamed would walk into the wilderness and become a supernatural, vengeful hermit. For these pioneers, loneliness wasn't a feeling, it was a death sentence. To be alone was to become a monster. By 1900 BCE, the climate shifted. The small ice age of antiquity began. The Green Corridor closed. The musk ox populations crashed. The driftwood they relied on for heat stopped washing ashore. There were no wars. No great battles. Just a slow, heartbreaking thinning of the camps. Archaeology shows the hearths getting smaller and smaller. They began eating the smallest birds, then foxes, then nothing. Eventually, the fires simply went out. They didn't leave because they wanted to, the land simply stopped providing. They vanished, leaving behind only those stone hearths, silent witnesses to the first human breath ever drawn in the high Arctic. They were the scouts of humanity. They proved that the human spirit could survive at the very edge of the world. They left the door open. Centuries later, their cousins, the Sakak, would arrive, bringing the first dogs, better bows, and a new kind of magic. But the Independence were the first. The pioneers who looked at the end of the world and decided to keep walking.